Welcome, my favorite people, the rare gems. Trust is earned in silence and broken in whispers. If you've ever found yourself wondering why you find it so hard to trust your friends, you're not cold or distant. You're aware. You see what most people choose to ignore. You notice the tone that changes when you succeed, the smile that fades when attention shifts, the small betrayals that others call no big deal. Sigma females don't live in paranoia. They live in truth. And that truth is often uncomfortable to face. You've probably learned that loyalty isn't loud. It doesn't come from words or promises. It comes from consistency, from people who show up without needing to be seen. But the Sigma female rarely finds that. What she finds instead are people who are curious about her, fascinated by her calm, drawn to her strength, until they realize she cannot be controlled or used. That's when the mask of friendship starts to slip. This isn't about bitterness, it's about clarity. When you stop trusting blindly, you start seeing people for who they really are. You stop expecting honesty from those who only know convenience. That awareness can feel lonely, but it's also what keeps your peace safe. So if you've ever questioned why you pull away, why you keep your circle small, or why your silence feels sacred, stay with me till the end of this video. You'll understand why your guarded nature isn't a flaw. It's your way of surviving in a world that doesn't always deserve your trust. Let's dive into it. Number 1. She knows friendship fades when individuality shines. There's a strange pattern Sigma females notice. The more they grow into their true selves, the quieter some friendships become. You'd think friends would celebrate your evolution, but not everyone claps when you stop blending in. Some only liked you when you played small enough for them to feel tall. She knows that individuality makes people uncomfortable. Envy rarely walks in the front door. It hides behind kind words and advice that aims to dim your spark. So instead of trying to fix those friendships, she quietly steps back, letting distance do what explanations never could. She has no bitterness, just understanding, because she knows growth will always cost you the people who never intended to grow with you. Number 2. She's too self-aware to be emotionally extorted. The Sigma female is emotionally sharp. She sees through emotional games the moment they begin. You can't guilt her into submission or trap her with pity stories, because she's too self-aware for that. She doesn't need drama to feel connected, which is why emotional manipulators fail with her. They rely on confusion, but she lives in clarity. She can sense when "I miss you" really means "I miss what you did for me." She has mastered emotional distance without losing compassion. She can care about you and still not let you drain her. When someone tries to guilt trip her, she doesn't argue. She just goes silent, and that silence is powerful. It's not coldness, it's self-respect. Number 3. She sees how friendship turns competitive in disguise. The Sigma female has a sharp eye for subtle competition, especially when it hides behind smiles and sweet words. She's seen how friendship can quietly turn into a silent rivalry, one wrapped in compliments, disguised as support, but driven by envy. Someone tells her, "I'm so proud of you," but the tone carries a tiny sting, a shadow of comparison. She feels it instantly, that split between what's said and what's meant. At first, she gives people the benefit of the doubt. She assumes they mean well, that maybe she's overthinking it, but time always reveals the truth. The same person who praised her success begins to mirror her moves, question her choices, or subtly compete for attention. Their admiration slowly morphs into imitation, then resentment. And the Sigma female senses it before anyone else notices a thing. What others call intuition, she calls awareness. She reads the tension in energy, not words. She can tell when someone is cheering her on with one hand while keeping score with the other. And once she spots that duality, she quietly steps back. Not dramatically, not with confrontation, just distance. She's not interested in friendships that feel like secret competitions. She doesn't want to win against the people she cares about. But she refuses to stay close to anyone who feels threatened by her peace, confidence, or growth. To her, true friendship is mutual elevation, not quiet comparison. That's why her circle is small. She prefers honesty over flattery, authenticity over validation. She would rather be alone than surrounded by people who pretend to celebrate her while secretly wishing she would shrink. Her withdrawal isn't pride, it's protection. Because the Sigma female knows that competition dressed as friendship is just envy wearing makeup. And she doesn't stick around long enough to watch it peel off. Number 4. She has witnessed emotional theft. The Sigma female has experienced a kind of betrayal that cuts deeper than lies. Emotional theft. It's when someone earns your trust, listens to your pain, and then quietly turns your vulnerability into a weapon. She's seen how easily people mistake openness for weakness. She has watched them collect her words like evidence, storing every emotional detail for the moment it benefits them. At first, she believed that honesty builds closeness. She thought that being real would invite understanding, but she learned that not everyone deserves access to her inner world. Some people don't listen to help. They listen to gather. They wait for a moment when her guard is down, then use what she once shared to guilt her, shame her, or manipulate her decisions. That's emotional theft. And she's lived through it enough times to recognize the signs early. Now she knows that silence is not coldness. It's self-protection. It's her way of guarding the parts of herself that others once used for control. She no longer feels the need to explain every emotion or justify her distance. She's learned that privacy is power. When people can't read you, they can't use you. This doesn't mean she's bitter or detached. It means she's wise. She understands that trust should be earned, not given. She saves her truths for those who have proven they can hold them with respect, not use them for advantage. So when she stays quiet, it's not because she has nothing to say. It's because she's seen what happens when the wrong people start listening. Her silence is her strength now, the invisible shield that keeps her peace safe and her power intact. She's no longer afraid of being misunderstood because she finally understands herself. And that's something no one can steal again. Number 5, she's allergic to social hierarchy. The Sigma female has no interest in social ladders or invisible ranks. She's allergic to the idea of hierarchy, especially the kind that quietly controls most friend groups. You know the type. The unspoken system where one person subtly dominates, another competes for attention, and a few linger in the background pretending not to notice the imbalance. The Sigma female notices it immediately. She can feel who needs to be the center of attention, who thrives on approval, and who bends their personality just to belong. To her, that kind of structure feels suffocating. Friendship shouldn't feel like a performance or a silent audition. She doesn't care who's in charge or who gets invited to every plan. The moment she senses a group built on ego or validation, she starts to detach, not out of pride, but because she values authenticity more than inclusion. She has no desire to climb a social pyramid that was never real to begin with. Popularity doesn't impress her. Peace does. She's more comfortable observing from the sidelines than fighting for a seat at a table built on competition. She doesn't need to lead or follow. She just needs space to be herself without judgment. Her presence often exposes the superficiality around her. When someone tries to assert dominance, she doesn't challenge them. She simply refuses to play. That quiet refusal disrupts the power balance, and suddenly the game loses meaning. That's what makes people uneasy around her. She can't be ranked, labeled, or controlled. In a world where most people crave belonging, she chooses alignment. She doesn't need a crowd to feel validated. Her independence threatens those who depend on hierarchy to feel relevant, and that's why the Sigma female will always stand apart, not above, not below, just free. Number 6. She knows people study her to decode her mystery. The Sigma female lives with a strange kind of attention, the kind that feels more like surveillance than connection. Her calmness, her silence, her self-control, they pull people in. They're fascinated by her. They call it friendship, but she can feel the difference. It's not genuine curiosity. It's analysis. They want to understand what makes her so composed, why she doesn't chase validation, how she stays unbothered while everyone else scrambles for approval. They don't want closeness. They want access. At first, it feels harmless. People ask deep questions. They want to know her story. They compliment her calm energy. But the Sigma female knows the signs. She can sense when someone's interest isn't rooted in care but in curiosity. There's a certain hunger in their attention, as if she's a puzzle they're desperate to solve. They study her reactions, test her boundaries, and observe how she handles pressure. It's not friendship, it's fascination dressed as connection. The irony is, the more they try to decode her, the less they actually see, because she never reveals what she doesn't want known. She may speak openly, but never deeply. She may smile, but rarely expose what she truly feels. She lets people think they're close, all while keeping her inner world untouched. This confuses those who study her. They expect her to open up eventually, but she never does. Not because she's secretive, but because she knows that some people only want pieces of her to feed their curiosity, not to understand her soul. So she lets them keep guessing. She remains calm, unreadable, and quietly amused. Because what they don't realize is that while they're busy trying to figure her out, she's already figured them out completely. And that's the difference. She observes to understand. They observe to possess. Number 7. She knows I care often means I'm curious. The Sigma female has learned that not every I care comes from compassion. Sometimes it comes from curiosity, the kind that hides behind a soft tone and gentle words, but is really just a search for information. She has seen it too many times. The moment she opens up about something personal, people's eyes light up, not with empathy, but with interest. They lean in, not to support her, but to collect details they can later analyze, discuss, or quietly compare. She knows how to feel the difference. Real care feels grounding, calm, and private. Fake concern feels slightly too eager, slightly too invasive, like someone trying to read a diary they were never meant to see. And when she senses that shift, she shuts down. Instantly, she changes the subject, goes quiet, or smiles politely, her silent way of saying, I see you. The Sigma female understands that for many, empathy is just disguised gossip. People love being the one who knows. They'll act like they're offering emotional support, when really they're gathering fuel for their next conversation. They want to peek behind her calm exterior, not to comfort her, but to satisfy their own curiosity about how someone so self-contained handles pain. That's why she guards her inner world so carefully. She doesn't share for validation or sympathy. She shares only when she feels genuine safety, and that's rare. She would rather be misunderstood than misused. Her silence is not distance, it's protection. She has learned that some people listen with open hearts and others listen with open mouths. And when she realizes which one she's dealing with, she walks away quietly, because she knows the difference between someone who wants to understand her and someone who just wants something to talk about. Number 8, she observes patterns, not apologies. The Sigma female has no interest in empty apologies. She's heard them all before, the rehearsed tone, the careful phrasing, the sudden kindness that appears right after being caught. But she doesn't listen to what people say anymore. She watches what they do next, because to her, words mean nothing without change. She has learned that most people apologize to reset the situation, not to repair the behavior. They want relief, not growth. They say sorry to calm her silence, not because they've reflected on their actions, and that's where they lose her. The Sigma female doesn't measure sincerity by emotion. She measures it by repetition. If the same mistake keeps happening, the apology was never real. It was strategy. She observes patterns because patterns reveal truth. You can't fake consistency. You can cry, you can promise, you can perform remorse, but you can't hide your habits. They always resurface. That's why she pays attention quietly, without confrontation. While others get distracted by words, she collects data. She notices timing, tone, and behavior. She sees if that sorry was followed by effort or just another round of comfort-seeking. This is why she trusts so few people. Most are fluent in apology, but illiterate in accountability. They love the forgiveness, not the work that earns it. And the Sigma female doesn't entertain that loop. Once she spots a pattern, she adjusts accordingly. She doesn't announce it, she doesn't argue, she simply distances herself. Her silence after someone's apology isn't cruelty. It's clarity. She's waiting to see if the behavior changes. If it doesn't, she moves on, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Because she's learned that words can heal temporarily, but consistency keeps the wound from reopening. And most people can only manage the first part. Number 9, she has learned that distance reveals truth. The Sigma female has discovered something powerful. Distance doesn't ruin real connections, it reveals them. She has learned that when she stops reaching out, stops checking in, and simply lets silence do its work, the truth always shows up. The ones who were genuinely connected to her will feel her absence and make the effort to bridge the gap. The others, the ones who were only attached to her energy or her presence, will quietly drift away. At first, this realization can be painful. She used to think that closeness meant mutual effort, that the people who laughed with her would also fight to keep her in their lives. But time and silence have taught her otherwise. Many connections only exist because she kept them alive. She was the listener, the supporter, the one who reached out first. When she finally stopped, most of those friendships disappeared without a word. That's when she understood the difference between genuine connection and emotional dependency. Genuine connection doesn't fade when communication slows down. It has roots. It can survive quiet seasons. But attachment needs constant feeding. Once it stops getting attention, it starves and dies. So now she lets distance do the talking. She doesn't chase, she doesn't test, she simply observes. The ones meant to stay naturally. The ones who leave, she releases with peace. Because distance is her filter, the simplest and most honest way to see who values her beyond convenience. This awareness has made her calmer, wiser, and more selective. She no longer fears losing people. She knows that anyone who vanishes in her silence was never really there in her presence. And that truth, though harsh, gives her something she values more than company: clarity. Number 10. She doesn't confuse kindness for connection. The Sigma female moves through the world with quiet grace, but don't mistake her warmth for invitation. She can be kind, patient, and understanding without seeing you as part of her inner world. That's the line most people miss. Her kindness comes from who she is, not how she feels about you. It's a reflection of her character, not a door to her trust. People often confuse kindness with connection because they assume warmth means closeness. But the Sigma female has mastered emotional boundaries. She can listen deeply without becoming attached, offer help without expecting friendship, and show empathy without lowering her guard. To her, kindness is universal, but trust is sacred. She's learned this the hard way. Too many times, her compassion has been mistaken for permission. People saw her gentle energy and thought it meant access. They mistook her patience for interest, her calmness for closeness, and her generosity for obligation. But the Sigma female eventually realized that being kind doesn't require letting everyone in. Now she moves differently. Her kindness is steady but measured. She knows that not everyone deserves her vulnerability just because they've received her warmth. Some people are meant to experience her light, not hold it. This confuses many, especially those who think emotional access is the same as emotional connection. But she's no longer here to please expectations. She knows the value of her peace, and she guards it carefully. The Sigma female's heart is open, but her circle is not. She can share a smile without sharing her soul, offer support without sharing her secrets. Her kindness has no agenda, it's who she is. But her trust, that's something entirely different. That's earned slowly, through presence, consistency, and truth. And very few ever make it that far. Number 11. She's seen how quickly loyalty collapses when self-interest enters the room. The Sigma female has learned that loyalty is rarely what people claim it to be. Everyone sounds loyal when times are easy, but she has watched how quickly loyalty collapses the moment self-interest walks into the room. The same people who once cheered her on suddenly grow distant when her light starts shining a little brighter than theirs. She learns to trust action over affection, listening less to what people say and more to what they do. The Sigma female doesn't become cold, she becomes selective. She knows that real friends are revealed not by how they act when you're struggling, but by how they react when you start winning. In conclusion, the fewer people you trust, the more peaceful your mind becomes. The truth is, the Sigma female isn't cold, broken, or heartless. She's just done pretending that loyalty is common. She has been through too many silent betrayals, too many fake smiles, too many friendships built on convenience rather than care. She doesn't pull away because she hates people. She pulls away because she finally understands them. Her guarded nature is not a weakness. It's wisdom earned through experience. Every wall she builds was once a boundary that someone ignored. Every layer of silence she carries was once a voice that was misunderstood or used against her. She learned that peace isn't found in having many friends. It's found in having the right ones. If you are a Sigma female, understand this. Your distance doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. You are not difficult to love, you are just difficult to fool. Your silence doesn't mean you're detached, it means you're protecting something rare, your energy, your mind, your spirit. Never feel guilty for being selective with your trust. You see things others overlook. You sense motives others ignore. You feel energies others can't name. That sensitivity is not a burden. It's your gift. So, as you watch this video till the end, remind yourself, your solitude is not a punishment. It's your filter. You are not here to fit into shallow friendships or forced loyalty. You are here to stand in truth, even if that truth stands alone. Because in a world that feeds on appearances, your authenticity will always be your quiet rebellion. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.